Welcome to a Farming Simulator update special with me, Mr. Sealy P. Okay, today saw the update to Farming Simulator 17 version 1.04. What does that mean if you're a PS4 player? I'm not sure about Xbox One or PC. I'm assuming the same will apply across all of the platforms, but I can only speak as far as I know from PS4 because I've just been sort of checking this all out. So, what impact does this have on PS4 players? Okay, if we go into our mods now, I've obviously updated mine, uploaded it already, but it will come with updates. If you go into other, for some reason it won't show it all the time. You've got the three 4-reel mods. Okay, there is the ground response mod. It adds more advanced terrain properties. Tyres will sink into the soil depending on the type and weather. Wheels respond more dynamically to rough ground and slip more on wet soil. Okay, so that's the ground response mod. The 4-reel tyre dirt 02 adds more dynamic dirt to tyres. Dirt is applied separately on each wheel depending on the ground. Increased time it takes to dirty or clean wheels. Wheels are not cleaned as much anymore on roads or grass. When you install this and you first put it on, any tractors you've got on your farms, whatever, that are already dirty, they'll go back to being clean. It will suddenly like blink and they'll be clean. But what it does mean is as you're driving around, your tyres will get dirtier or cleaner separately to the vehicle body. So it's not, if you started driving across mud, your vehicle body wouldn't instantly be covered in mud and it wouldn't be at the same rate as the tyres. So it's interesting to see that actually kind of in action. That's the second one. The third one, and probably the most important one with regard to impact on the farm, is the crop destruction. It adds crop destruction to all wheels except care wheels or thin or narrow wheels. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Support for consoles, which is great. Grass will be reduced to second to last growth state, which is still mowable, because I know on some of the PC mods, I think it was, if you put crop destruction on, you drove across the grass to mow it, it destroyed the grass that you were actually driving on. It also does mean you're better off having triple mowers, because you're driving one line whilst cutting 3 lines worth of grass. So it gives you different options and it makes you really think about how you're going to be using these vehicles. Carawell, Nicholas, Stiller 460 and the New Holland are properly detected as using care wheels and will not destroy the crops anymore. We'll look at that in a moment. Now, what I'm going to do is put it onto my test map, only because I've set a few things up already, so we'll just make sure it's all installed, which it is, and off we go. So what I'm going to do is start with the crop destruction. That's the one that kind of everyone, you're going to be most concerned about. Now, interestingly, if you go into your menu, there's nowhere that I can see that allows you to turn it on or off. So you can't turn the crop destruction on or off from your menu. It's on or it's off. You've either got it installed or you haven't. So you can't turn it on or off, which is, fair enough. So here's the thing. I've got, I think I've got T5s, didn't I? I've got a T5 with narrow tyres. I've got a T5 with standard tyres. And I've got a Massey Ferguson 5610, whatever you want to call it, with narrow tyres, but I've also got a trailer on the back with big chunky tyres, so we can have a look and see the differences. Okay, so we'll start off in the standard. Okay, if I drive across this field now, I'll get my crop destruction, and it's actually quite devastating. When you look at how much of the crop is being destroyed, it's quite devastating. If I turn now, I mean, that is a catastrophic chunk of crops. So that's crop destruction. Now what I will do very quickly is drive up here to the grass. Now if we look very carefully, What you also notice as well, look at the tyres. The tyres are getting dirty, and it's more kind of detailed, and it's inside the tread, not all over it, but the vehicle body isn't. The vehicle body will start to get dirtier the more you drive it, but the tyres will get dirty, not dirty, depending on the rain conditions, that kind of thing. So the tyre mod is working really well. Now if I go to the grass here, you'll see as we start to drive across, it will be destroying the grass. You can see it flattening it out. But it takes it back a stage. If you notice it's a little bit darker, it's hard to tell. From a distance, if we zoom back out, you can sort of see a little bit better. It will take the grass down to its second last stage, which means it can still be mowed, but obviously you're not going to get the same yield out of it, which poses a few different questions, which hopefully I'm going to answer now. So here's the thing. Obviously, in real life, what you would do is the row crop tyres, and you would follow the same rows that you've seeded with, the same rows that you fertilised with and whatever, so you wouldn't be destroying the crops. So what they've done, if you've got row crop tyres on, the narrow tyres from your menu, and you drive across your crops, it has no impact whatsoever. It's kind of simulating the fact that you're trying not to cause any damage, and that technically you would be driving along through the rows, so you wouldn't be destroying your crops. So with row crop tyres on, you're not going to do any damage whatsoever to your crop, which means now that after you've seeded, if you do any weeding, if you do any fertilising, if you do anything at all over your crop, you need to be doing it with row crop tyres on, so you don't destroy any of your crop. It does mean you can't go whizzing across the middle of fields to avoid following the roads or to get somewhere quicker in normal tractors, because it's going to destroy your crops as it would do in real life. So that's the narrow, which is brilliant. Then we come on to the tractor's got narrow tyres, but quite clearly the trailer hasn't. So if I was going to be fertilising using this, which obviously for this tractor is ridiculous size, but I just wanted to show you, because I've got row crop tyres on the tractor, the trailer has no impact. Now obviously in real life it would. If you were dragging this across the ground, it would absolutely devastate your crops. But because you've got row crop tyres on your tractor, it's fine. So anything you're towing, I assume most vehicles, I've tried it with this one, but anything you're towing, pulling, as long as you've got row crop tyres on your tractor, you're going to be fine. So that's kind of the crop destruction as far as tractors go. Obviously the bigger the tractor, the bigger the tyres, the more devastation you're going to cause. If you came on here in a Challenger with triple tyres, you're going to just take everything out. So it does mean now you've really got to think about, now I know the tractors don't look pretty like this, they don't look nice at all, but they'll do the job, which they would do in real life. So whether you install the crop destruction mod or not, it really does come down to you. The terrain response is the fact that when your tractors now go onto rough ground, ploughed fields, they do sink in a little bit. It's not hugely noticeable, but it is noticeable. There's also a kind of, if you're going on one part that's ploughed and one part that's not, there's a bit of lean and that kind of thing, which is quite good. Which brings me to the next point. Harvesters then. Same thing as you're having the same tyre dirt on the tracks as you do on the tyres. So just driving over here, the tracks have got dirty, but the rest of the harvester quite clearly hasn't yet. So crop destruction as far as the harvester goes, it's going to be pretty devastating, you would imagine, and it's going to be more devastating than the tractor. So if I go across this crop now, it is actually leaving a couple of marks. Nothing, I mean, it's nothing too horrendous. It is bad, but not awful. The point about it is, you would absolutely have no reason to be driving across your crops in a harvester. There'd be no reason to at all, because you'd have your header on the front, you'd be cutting the crop as you went. But what it does mean is, on tight fields, smaller maps, that kind of stuff, where you're trying to manoeuvre around on the edge, and you kind of just happen to go over the corner a little bit, you're going to destroy crops as you go across, which adds that extra bit of realism. You know, whether you're going to use it or not is entirely up to you. I personally think it's brilliant. It's one of those things they said, consoles can't have script, it's not going to work, you'll never have crop destruction. If they've proved they can do it with these, then technically you could have Follow Me. There's a few others you could probably have. I don't know how complicated that process is, but potentially you could. That's your crop destruction. That's tyre dirt. And, you know, as you go into the field, I don't know if you can even really see on this, but it's hard because of the field, but you get that lip as it sort of bumps down into the field, and it makes a difference. You can see it's sort of sinks in. Anyway, there you go. So that's the ground response, the terrain thing. Now, here's what they didn't tell you about the update. And this is the bit that's probably going to anger a few people, but I suppose, again, in real life, it makes sense. Now, the balers on FS15, unless you're a PC player, gamer, the balers would only ever bale straw or hay. They wouldn't. You couldn't bale grass. It just didn't. It wouldn't work. But now they can. So, with the update, luckily, thankfully, that is still the case. You can still bale grass. Now these are left over from another video I did. But you can still bale grass, which is fantastic. Good news, I hear you say. Now, I've checked this on a few of my maps now. What I found on Lawfolds, which was a bit worrying, was that when it came to picking up round bales, my telehandler with a bale fork wouldn't pick up the round bales. So I don't know if it's kind of done it on that one that you need to have a wrap bale handler or something grab, or I'm not too sure. Now here's where we have an issue. Now, one of the things that people were quite pleased about on FS17 was the fact that for making power food, total mix ration, that kind of thing, these, the Silo Kings, whether it's the trailed line or the self line, which is just over there, you could put grass in and the grass would automatically turn into hay. So with update 1.04, this bale is not supported. You can no longer put grass bales into your feed wagons. I have checked, you can still put on some of the maps, I think most of the maps, you can still put grass bales over the rail to feed cows and to feed your sheep. That still works, but it won't let you put grass bales into your feed wagons for making total mix ration. Now for me, the problem I've got now is, on Lawfolds I did an episode where I did tons and tons of hay bales and spent ages tethering and making hay and all the rest of it. People were commenting saying, you're wasting your time, why are you bothering, you don't need to, just make grass bales. And that was the case. It's not anymore. It would appear that Giants have kind of got wise to the fact, and in the update it's not working. So if I go into the self line now and turn on the pickup, whereas before you could dump a big mound of grass, a big mound of straw, whatever, and you could make your mixed ration with your silage, if I go over the grass now, it won't pick up grass. The self line will not touch grass. So if you're going to be making total mixed ration, which requires straw, hay and silage, you actually have to have hay now. It will not let you put grass in and turn it into. So just ahead of me here, I've got a bit that I tethered. So that's normal grass, that's tethered grass, so technically now that's hay. Hay, it will pick up, no problem at all. There's no problem with the hay, it just will not pick up grass anymore. So for making total mixed ration, and as you can see the crop destruction is flattening the grass as I turn around on it. Yeah, as far as it goes for making total mixed ration, it's an issue. Especially if you've decided on your farm that you've gone and made a ton of bales and you've stacked up however many grass bales, that now becomes an issue. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Now, one last thing I wanted to check. So the worry then for me was this: if you've made grass bales, and like I say on FS15, to make silage bales they had to be hay bales first. It wouldn't let you wrap anything else. It had to be hay. So you had to tether it, you had to make the hay bales, then you had to silage wrap them. So to make silage bales, you had to go through those 3 processes. So the fact now that to make the power food, it's only letting you put hay in and not grass anymore, the worry is, will it still turn a grass bale into a silage bale? The answer to that is, yes it will, thankfully. So for making silage bales, you can still use grass bales. So grass baling, that's not too bad if you're going to be making silage bales. If you've got a ton of grass bales, especially square ones, I know on Lawfolds I've got square ones, loads of them. If I had a load of round ones, I'd just knock them all down and think, you know what, I'm going to silage wrap them all, make silage bales. But the square ones, until the update next week on the 14th, which realistically is only a week away, until you get a square bale wrapper, if you've got a ton of grass bales, the only thing you can do is feed them to the sheep or the cows. So it does still wrap those. That's good news. That, in essence, from what I can work out, from what I've looked at so far, is, I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of behind the scenes stuff that the update has dealt with. There'll be a lot of programming stuff, I would imagine, things that you're not kind of aware of. But as far as what does it mean to you as a PS4 player, and I'm assuming this is cross-platform, don't know. I'm not saying this will be the same for Xbox, this will be the same for PC, so I don't know for definite. But definitely for PS4 players, that's the impact it's going to have. As far as the train mod, the tyre mod and the crop destruction mod, brilliant additions, absolutely fantastic. Chuffed to bits with that, Giants, thumbs up. Fantastic job. It does make you alter the way you're doing things on your farm now. I'm going to have to go back into Old Stream Farm and Lawfolds and think about row crop tyres and some of my vehicles. That's just going to be the way it's going to have to be. But with the impact with regard to making total mixed ration, it means you've got to add in that step of tethering, which, to be fair, what's the point of having the tedders in the game if technically you don't need them? So with that step put back in, it kind of makes makes more sense. It's you know, you ask yourself then, what's the point of having the equipment if you're not going to use it? It was the same as on FS15. I could never see the point in the ploughs because ploughing wasn't required. You didn't need to do it. You could cultivate, you could get away without ploughing. The ploughs were a redundant piece of equipment. FS17, they've rectified that by having the periodic ploughing on or off. I mean, you've got the choice whether you turn it on or off or not. It makes the ploughs now part of the game. And I suppose what they've done now is they've looked at it and thought, well, you know what, the same's happened with the tedders. The tedders have become redundant. No one needs to make hay anymore. So what they're saying is, you know what, you've got to. Frustrating or not, it is the way it is. So there we go. Bit of an update. Hope it's helped. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you find it useful. If you do, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. Let's Plays on my channel. I'm also on Facebook, putting updates and stuff from Giants on there regularly, as I do with screenshots and other things as well. If you want to leave a comment, feel free, and if you want to share the video, please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do, thanks for watching.